Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the Better Your Business Show. I'm Natalie, your money expert and your host this morning. My beautiful co-host, executive business coach, Miss Shanna Mavis.
Good morning, everyone. Well, if you're here, you're a business owner, most likely. And if you're a business owner, then we know you're a visionary. You have goals, you have dreams, and you have the commitment to achieve them. What you may not have, and why we bring the show to you, is to provide you access to experts like the one we have today that can help you grow your business without falling prey to the mindset that you have to fail to succeed. We firmly believe here that failure is not required.
That is right. So whether you are joining us live or watching the replay, make sure you go to pillar5.com and take your free business assessment. Then join us throughout the show so we can answer any questions or concerns that you may have.
Absolutely. I'm excited for our guest today. I say that every week.
I know.
Good morning. But yeah, I'm really excited. I first heard of her on Clubhouse, and I'm just listening to her, and she's just going a mile a minute, but she's so passionate, and the way that she wants to help business owners, I was like, there's synergy. I need to talk to her. I need to understand more of how she's actually helping all of the business owners that are in her community, how she's helping them grow. And she's got so much wisdom and knowledge that she just loves to pass on. And so, I think it's going to be a great show for everyone tuning in. They can hear what she's got to say, learn how to connect with her, better their businesses. That's what this is all about.
Absolutely. So we have Dr. Andrea Diese, president at American Management and Leadership by Design. She is a leadership coach, a business strategist, a women's empowerment advocate, a best-selling author. She is a wife, a mom, and a niece. Dr. Andrea Diese, let's bring her to the screen.
Good morning.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We are excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here, ready to have an amazing conversation with these two powerhouse ladies.
Awesome. Good. So tell us a little bit more about American Management and Leadership by Design.
Yeah, so we are a multi-service management consulting company that specializes in helping women move from the 5 to 6 and 7-figure business venture and career by helping them manage their intellectual assets. You see me? My screen went blank for a second there.
We see you.
Okay, great. And so, so we help women manage their intellectual assets, overcome imposter syndrome, and just basically dominate in their respective professions. We work with women entrepreneurs, and we work with corporations. We do strategic planning, create courses. We do all the things that people don't like to do, because what they do is that people, they kind of avoid what they kind of don't like. And so we do all like strategic planning, 6, 12, 18 months. How do we move the needle? People, what they do is they have a product or they see the shiny apple and they'll say, oh, I want to grow my social media followers. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. That's great. But then I talk about how are you capturing the information? How do you convert them? How do you, all the things business that people don't actually think of. They just know that they want to get lots of clients and scale. I'm like, well, what does that word mean to you? So I teach them, the business 101, and then we move from there. I hope
that's awesome.
Yeah. And so how did you get into this field?
So legitimately, I am a business egghead. I love all things business. I have 2 bachelors. Yeah, I have 2 bachelors, one in business, one in Spanish, a master's of organizational management, a doctorate in organizational leadership. I mean, when I tell you I eat, breathe, sleep business, think business, I'm always literally analytical thinking. When I hear things, I'm always listening to people, and I'm always dissecting what they have to say. And then usually I get through the fluff of what they're saying, because they think they're going to tell you, they think that, okay, I like to say I'm smarter than the average bear, and and but not a member of Mensa. And so they're going to tell me all this stuff. Like, I love, like, women, they're like, I have an accountability coach and I do this and I do that, and they're telling me they're using all the right buzzwords, right? But then I say to them, so when are you going to do some work? And it's like they look at me, and I'm like, there's work to be done, like there's actual tangible steps. And then I say to them, how are you going to move the needle? Because what I do, I use terminology that you're going to understand. I'm not going to use the buzzwords, because people use buzzwords, and then people, like, I want to say the average person really doesn't understand what that means. So that's like being a neuroscientist and then using all the terminology in neuroscience, but then not really doing, but not really understanding what it is. And you're talking to, like, the average person, and they're looking at you and they're just kind of shaking their head, like, because they really don't understand what that means. And they don't know how to apply it, but they're just like, well, I don't want to, because they don't want to seem unintelligent, or they're suffering from imposter. And here's the thing, they suffer from imposter syndrome and perfectionism and this and that and blah.
So let's
I'm just like,
dig
okay,
into
let's
that
just
a little
start with,
bit. I like that you
business
talk a
101.
lot about imposter syndrome, and I can't say I was very familiar with the term of imposter syndrome or what it details until probably about a year and a half ago. And I think my perception of it was still very surface level. I've learned a lot more since then. So can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I think that it can be a misperception of what that means. Or, and then how do we kind of get our own way with that?
So literally before I hopped onto this podcast, I was talking to someone regarding imposter syndrome. And she's like, I suffer from imposter syndrome. And she's telling me that all these people who, I was a teen mom and I was this, and you're clearly not a teen mom anymore. Like, so people hold on to things. And this is why I tell people, if you suffer from a lack of confidence or imposter syndrome, it's not your fault. And let me explain. You've spent your whole life, when you're born, you're looking for the approval of your parental unit or whoever was your caregiver, right? Then you're looking at the issue of your teacher, right? You're looking at the approval of your teacher. Then if you go on to college, you're looking at the approval of your professor or your boss, and you're always looking at someone to give you feedback and approval on you. But this is why I just said to a young lady, you don't need anyone's approval to be great. You don't need anyone's approval to be great. I told her, I walk into it, and I said, by the way, stop justifying yourself. Because you know what we do, especially as women, we talk a lot, and we think the more we talk, the more we're going to explain, we're going to, convince you of how smart we are, or convince you that this is what we're trying to do. And all you're doing is the opposite. You're showing the person how insecure you are because you keep talking. I tell them, when I enter a room, I don't say a word. I walk in, I sit down, and I look at you. If I have something to contribute, I contribute. I don't say anything if you ask it. And I gave her something, because also as women, we're so concerned about being right or being perceived like we don't know enough, or that we have to prove that we deserve being there. I said one of the best bosses I ever had was when I worked for the Army. And he would be standing in front of the room in the command conference room, and he would be giving his debrief, and I'm standing over there. I worked in operations, and someone would ask him something, and he would say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. It's a perfectly reasonable answer. In other words, as opposed to trying to justify, like, oh, well, I think, and he would look at me after he would say it, he would say, I don't know, I'll get back to you. And he would look at me and he would say, get me smart on this. That would be his words. In other words, go research it and get back to me. Why, as women, don't we say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you? Why do we think that we have to have the answers right then and there, like we're omnipotent? And all that does is show, and I said, I don't justify myself. I don't give answers. Nope. And I said, by the way, she's like, well, some people tell me this. I said, you understand that their opinions. These are not subject matter experts talking to you. They're people with opinions. And I said, I guarantee you, these same people have trouble in their own home. And when I say this, when I say own home, I don't mean your literal home. What I mean is that wherever you are in the workplace or whatever the case may be, Everyone has a glass house, but what they're doing is that they're saying, well, if I can control you, and I said, by the way, stop talking so much because you're giving away your power. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's a whole science behind it. There's a whole listen, listen, when someone says something to me, I'll just look at you. You know how uncomfortable people are with silence? People are highly uncomfortable with silence. And actually, when I find people who just talk and talk, though, I'll just be quiet. And all you're doing is digging a hole for yourself. Talking, talking, talking. You should have shut up 5 minutes ago. Talking, talking, talking. But we think that we have to prove something. Yeah, listen, there's a whole, not only do I teach business, but I understand the science behind business. I understand the emotional aspects behind business and, and how people think and the emotional intelligence. And it's not a one size fits all. And if people can't see the whole picture, then they're missing out on a lot. So you don't have to suffer from imposter syndrome.
Why do you feel like it's more prevalent in women than it is men? Because you said especially as women, we succumb to the imposter
I can tell you
syndrome.
because it has been inbred since birth. And let me explain. I could tell you in the example in my own household. So I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, right? My 5-year-old is the boy, my 3-year-old is the girl. My kids, and this is like maybe a couple months ago, I was at my mother's house, right? When you go to their grandparents' house, there are no rules. That's another story. So my kids are running around screaming, right? And my mom says about my daughter, she's not going to be a young lady. And I looked at my mom and I said, why? Because she's now my son is screaming. So, but you don't say anything about him being a gentleman. So what's happened is that women have been critiqued into submission their entire life from birth. These are learned behaviors. Now, I will make a joke that I'm always going to be, good friends with my kid's principal or teacher or something like that. I know to the office, especially my daughter, I know she is, but I much rather her express herself than feel that she can't express herself. Now, and I'm always going to ask 3 questions. 1, what happened, right? 2, was it worth it? 3, why'd you get in trouble? I mean, I'm assuming you have some critical thinking skills. Mommy has a PhD, daddy's an engineer. You should be able to get yourself out of this. Use your critical thinking skills. But truthfully, yeah, no, we've been taught to, to sit in a corner and you want to be liked and this and that. And so you've literally been suppressed your entire life. That's why you struggle with imposter syndrome, because you're always looking for someone else's approval. But see, they never think that I don't need your approval to be great. I don't need your approval to do this. They're scared. They're scared. They are scared to take that step, and they're scared of that no. But no does not mean no, like that your life is over. Maybe no means you're not the right fit, or no means next opportunity. It's all about your perspective and how you pivot and transfer this information.
Plus, it's easier to blame on other people if we listen to them and not ourselves.
Right. Because
Yeah.
there's always
I always
someone
tell
else's
people,
fault.
I tell people all the time, like, okay, really, if you want to give me your feedback, okay, but just know I'm going to make the choice that's best for me at the end of the day, because if I screw this up, the only person I want to blame this on is myself. I don't want to be mad at you. If I screw it up, I screw it up. I got to still make the decision that I have to live with at the end of the day. So I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's a challenge for people, because they don't really understand what it is that they can and cannot do, what their options are. Here's the thing, like it's almost like the book Who Moved My Cheese by I think Spencer Johnson, and it's a book that a lot of people have read. And it's you have 2 sets of mice, right? And they had to go through the maze, and they're used to picking up their cheese at one place. So the premise of the story is they moved the cheese to another location. So one set of mice said, hey, the cheese is not there, and they went exploring, going to figure out what their options are. The other set of mice, they kept going back to the same spot over and over, because that was how they just thought. They're like, well, it's not here, we can't do anything. And this is what I realized a long time ago. The limits that we have in life are the limits that we place on ourselves. Literally, the limits that we have in our life are the limits that we place on ourselves. When I first started my business, I said, I would love to make, like, my ideal goal is in 5 years, make $50 million. And then I realized I was wrong. And why I was wrong? Why only $50 million? I put a limit on myself. I realized I was like, duh, 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 duh. You put a limit on yourself. Why? What's wrong with $200 million, 500? Do you understand what I mean? But if I only say 50 million, that means that I'm only going to aspire for that much. And what I want to do is to let people know that I am limitless. You are limitless. We are all like, there's a reason why you have the Elon Musk and the Bill Gates and the Jeff Bezos of the world, because these people said, you know what, and the Richard Branson, and you know what, it makes me sad that I'm naming men. I want to name more women who are like, you know what, I'm going to create this world. And this is what I tell people. I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to be here every day, because I am here to create. I'm not here out of my own, out of volition. I am here because I'm following, and it's whatever you believe, I'm following the directive that God has given me. And what I am here to do is to help create the world that I want to live in, that I want other women to live in, that I want my daughter to grow up in, that I want my grandchildren to grow up in. And I have the response. If I want to see that change, I have to be responsible for that change. I have to put the work in. And I went on, and I believe that, you know, there are a lot of times that I'm just like, man, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? And God will talk to me in his own way when he's ready for me to talk to me. And then I literally went on Instagram last week, and and I didn't scroll. The first thing that came up on my Instagram was, do the work. I said, whoa, I think somebody talking to me today. Do the work. Do the work. Because a lot of people, they want that awesome lifestyle. Let me tell you something. You know who I don't envy? I don't envy the Kardashians. Forget whatever nonsense and whatever shenanigans they do. I don't envy the Kardashians, because you know why? They are constantly working. Do you understand that? Do you understand that doing a TV interview is work? Doing those commercials and those Instagram things, that's work all the time. These people are working 24/7. But that's why they have the empire they have, because they realize, they're like, listen, we have a talent here, and we're going to capitalize on our talent. See, a lot of people, they said, my dad told me or my mom told me to do this in life, so that's what I did. And they don't follow their passion. And then they become resentful. And then they're like, this is why I tell people, who says you can't change? Who says you can't change your field? Oh, I'm too old. Who says what? Do you know most people who are super successful in life are over 40? That they realize, like the people that started like KFC and all these multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar enterprises, they started at over 40, close to 50. And that's because they were able to pivot. They're like, you know what? I see this really good idea. I'm not done for as long as my eyes are open. Thank you, God. We're not rushing the process. But as long as my eyes are open, we're going to do something. We're going to do something. I'm going to help other people do something. And I'm going to let them realize that you can do whatever you want. But you have to have a plan, and you have to have an infrastructure. Don't worry about those other people who are telling you, oh, I made this money. They have a team behind them, but they're not telling you that. They're just showing you the shiny apple. They're not showing you all the things and all the work that they had to do behind it. And this is why you talk to me. And I listen to you. I'm like, okay, that's great. So what are we going to do about it? I had a woman I was talking to, and she has a great like healthy hot pocket idea for this convenient. It's wonderful for convenience of families and that kind of stuff. She's going to Shark Tank. I loved it. And she's like, yeah, I had a food truck, and I was working with this social media firm, blah blah blah, and I sold, I forget, X amount of units, whatever she told me. And I said to her, I said, okay, that sounds great. I said, how did you capture the information? And she just looked at me, and I said, all those people that bought your hot pockets, did you capture their name, email address, anything to follow up with them? How are you building your database? Like, these are the questions that people don't ask. I'm like, how are you building? I was like, so how? Oh, but it was just a promo. And I looked at her, I said, so all those people that came and got a hot pocket, you let them walk out the door, and these can never be repeat customers because you have no way of contacting them. Like, she didn't understand that just because someone said something doesn't mean that that's the only information that you need. Like, if you're going to be in business, you have to act like a business. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, a lot of, especially women, they think of themselves as individuals, not the leader who has a fiduciary responsibility to be successful, to have 10, 20 employees, to have college matching 401ks. Like, they're not thinking that. To have a succession plan, so if you get hit by the bus, it's not that you necessarily going to grow old and die, and we all do that. Sometimes you could just walk across the street and then boop, what happens to you? What happens to your plan? What happens to your company? Do you have enough money in the bank for payroll? What? Come on, people. This is not the conversation people like to have, but this is what we need to have.
Absolutely. I love all of what you're saying because people need to hear it. I want to dive a little bit deeper into one of the things that you called out. You asked her if she captured the information. I would love for you to explain to the audience a little bit more of why that's important.
Oh, okay. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a business, the first thing I'm hoping is that you're legal, right? That you have your employee identification number, so Uncle Sam knows that you paying your taxes. That affects your DUNS and your credit. And listen, there's stuff that you have to know, right? Fine. So when you capture your information, the reason why I say you capture, okay, let me go back. I ask people, do you have a website? Some of them say yes, some of them say no, right? So I say, okay, well, do you have a website that's connected to your e-commerce system, that's connected to your CRM? And I say, what's a CRM? They either say, what's a CRM, or they tell me that I have MailChimp. And I say, MailChimp's not a CRM. A CRM does and I said, when you do this, it grows your database. I was like, so when someone makes a purchase, you don't have to find, you don't get these random emails and then try to put them in an Excel sheet. And no, you have your system integrated. So it automatically goes there. So you know that if you're running a special, or if you have a coupon code or whatever it is, then you get your statistics and your metrics. Every business needs statistics and metrics. Did I do well with at Christmas time? Did I do well with this? Was this initiative good? How did this work? Did it coincide with this? Now do I know that you like to get coupons, or I like that there's so much information to be captured. It's unbelievable. And then when I see women and they're like, oh, well, I only have this or I only have that, I'm just like, you realize that with this system, you understand, you get the data. Not only do you get the information, you get the data. You get to say, listen, I had 20 people come in, 50 people come in. I look at like the clicks of my website every week. How many people visited my website this week? Did it coincide with an initiative, or did it coincide with an Instagram live, or did it coincide? You have to think numbers. You have to not only numbers in your bank account. How are you servicing your people? Because here's the thing: if you see a drop, that means that, hey, I'm missing my target audience. If you see an increase, maybe I did something well with my target audience.
I love it.
You need the numbers. How are you going to sustain 5 years from now?
Jan, I'm curious as to what you're going to say.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I always say. I love that she was bringing that up, because the data is so important. People do not realize what's going on. You don't know where your money's coming from. And a lot of your existing clients are the ones that are going to give you most of your revenue. And so having an understanding
Repeat customers.
Having an understanding of who is coming to you, how they're spending, when they're spending, what did you do to get them there? It makes all the difference in the world. So for her to bring that up, it was just like, yes, people, please listen. She's bringing the wisdom.
Yeah, and this is what I tell people. People like to focus on the things that they like to do, right? Some people love Instagram and they love to do that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. That's great. But what are you going to do after that? So a woman said, as I told you, I want to grow my social media numbers. Oh, okay, fine. I want to grow my social media numbers. I said, I can give you a template, or we could talk about if you just want to do it yourself, 2 different price points, blah, 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 whatever. But I said, once you grow your social media, what are you going to do with that? And then she says, oh, well, I'm running a challenge. And I said, how are you capturing that information, and how are you converting these people into clients after they just do your challenge? And she looked at me and her eyes were blinking. And I looked at her and my eyes were blinking back, because she just did not understand that, there's a science behind growth. I've actually had, I had one of my clients, she had double-digit social media numbers. I'm talking about 15, 16,000 followers on Instagram, and not one conversion of sales, because her Instagram did not reflect what she wanted to do. It was all pictures of her, but nothing about her business, nothing about, there was no call to action. And by the way, if you don't know what a call to action is, I'm about to fall on the floor, because that means that you need to pick up a book and start reading. Don't think that these things are going to happen by osmosis. Constantly read a book. Get yourself in a program, surround yourself with people who know what they're doing. Get a coach. And by the way, coaches have coaches. And when you're going to find someone, always ask them this question. This is my favorite question for people to ask me when they want to work with me. What's my return on investment? I'm like, praise God, we're going to have a good conversation, because I want you to understand, right? I want people to ask when you go out, because so many people, they're like, oh, I talked to so and so, and they weren't really good for me, because you weren't asking the right questions. So if you want something, just don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be like, do you have a recommendation? Do you have this? What is my return? I want everyone, if you have not listened to me today, I want you, the next time you talk to someone for any type of service, ask them, what is my return on investment in working with you? And if they're like, hamna, 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 they don't know what they're about. Okay? If they're like, hamna, hamna, I don't have an answer, they don't know what they're about. That's all I have to say. Hamna, hamna.
I think we should go to break with the homina homina. I think that's the perfect time. We are going to go into a quick commercial break. We will be right back with Dr. Andrea Diese with American Management and Leadership by Design. See you soon.
One of the problems that I've had thus far is that I'm going on my experience. I'm building a business on my heartache. And one of the things that I've had to take out of that is you can't build a business entirely on emotion. And so this allows me to take the emotion out of it. This is what you need to do, whether you like it or not.
All right, and we are back with Dr. Andrea Diese this morning, and we are talking about all things leadership, management, some good stuff here. Dr. Andrea, I want to kind of go down I want to be a little controversial, and I didn't think that I was going to be, but so we had someone comment, it says women have a fiduciary responsibility to be leaders, bosses, executives, and trailblazers. And so, there's a lot of, with the world of social media and TikTok, you hear a lot about, I don't know how to say it, misogyny and all that stuff, right? And how women can, how we can take advantage of men, right? Because we allow them to do so much for us. And so with that person commenting that, I'd be curious as to why their thought is as to why they feel it's our responsibility. And then Dr. Andrea, with you being a doctor in this field, I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
So yeah, actually, I agree. Women do have a responsibility. Women have because you know why? Going back to my comment, people cannot be what they cannot see. So I have to be the best version of me. For me personally, like I have to take care of myself first, but I also have to be an example for somebody else, and which means not just being popular, but having the right infrastructure, having the right processes in place to make sure that you can be successful. Because what I want to do, I don't want to teach you how to fish. I want to teach you how to own the pond. And so when you understand how to own the pond, that's why we have a responsibility to make sure that we set it up right. Because you know what we do? Because we think that we can't, because we're scared. But what I want to tell you is that if you get that sick feeling, that pit in your stomach, like when you're on a roller coaster, and you ever been on a roller coaster and you get on and you're like, why am I, you have that friend that's like, come on, come on, come on. And you're like, why am I getting on this roller coaster? And you're like, and you start going up, and then you start getting that sick feeling. You're like, oh Lord, what did I do? I don't know if I should have been on this roller coaster. I think I'm coming home, Lord. I think I'm coming home. Like, like you think like that's it. And then you get that scared feeling, and then you get to the top, and you go, whew, and you go down, and you survive it. See, what happens is that people become comfortable. But if you get that sick feeling in your stomach, that feeling like I'm really scared, I don't know what I'm going to do, then you're doing the right thing. That means you're getting out of your comfort zone. So yeah, women have a responsibility to show other women that, number one, that it's possible. Number two, to mentor them, because we have been pitted against each other, right? Because if women are talking, and if women are passionate, it's that time of the month. You're emotional, you're this. And so what we have to do, we have to change the conversation. So yeah, we have a responsibility to bust down those doors, to break stigmatisms, to break all those things, and to say, you know what, I don't accept that. That's irresponsible. This is inappropriate. This is what you need to do. And I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to show you a better way. Just because I wasn't treated well doesn't mean that you have to be treated poorly either. We're going to change that conversation. And if you want to see change, you have to be that agent of change. Stop talking about it and be about it.
There you go.
So it's our responsibility. Pick up the mantle.
Okay, I want to switch to something a little bit more practical for business owners. One of the things that, I don't know if you had a chance to go through Pillar 5, the assessment there, but that's one of the things that we feel like, helps business owners along the way. And we absolutely, someone commented for us that if Pillar 5 was a person, it would sound exactly like Dr. Andrea Diaz. Because you are speaking the language. It is not just about these steps that you take, but it's about having that team alongside of you. It's about having the coaches who have coaches, people who understand where you're trying to go to help you get there. And I feel like that's going to accelerate your growth, right? Because I don't have to make those same
100%.
mistakes. You've already done that. You're 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line. You also are, from an outside perspective looking in, you can see mistakes that I'm about to make. You can ask me the questions to help make sure that I have an understanding. But you mentioned, if you don't know what a CTA is, pick up a book. And that's one of the things that's recommended is, we ask the question, what type of, studies have you done? What type of research? And I feel like there are business owners out there who are questioning, why is this important? Why do I need to be reading and doing all of this research? If I understand my industry, what's the point of learning more about business in general? So I would love for you to address that for them.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think the first thing we need to address is your hubris and ego. That's the first thing we need to address. Forget everything else. If you think that you know everything, you got bigger problems. If you think that you know everything and you have all the answers, I don't care what business you're in, you have bigger problems, because industries are always changing. People are always changing. And the people who are successful are the people who are open-minded, and they keep reading, and they change to pivot to suit the needs of their people. Because here's the thing, the business should never be about you. When I was looking at your commercial, the guy was saying, I was running my business on emotion. But that's not your target audience. So you need to speak to the pain points of your target audience. And so if you're not talking their language and you're talking your language, you're going to see a steep decline. And this is why businesses fail in the first 5 years, because you think you know everything. Okay, you keep that up and see what happens. And here's the thing, people are scared to ask questions because they don't want to seem incompetent. But I loved when I was starting business and I was talking to people, and they would say, Andrea, what can I help you with? What do you want to know? And do you know what my response was? I don't know what I don't know. So I don't know what question to ask you. So what do you think I should know? Because putting the onus on me to ask a question when I don't have the frame of work or the knowledge, it's kind of unfair, because I don't know what to ask you. But if you see something that I have a gap in or that I should know, then tell me. And then let me figure out how that applies to me and take it from there. See, because people, they want to seem like, everyone's like, oh, I'm a subject, I'm a subject matter expert and I'm this and I'm that. And they think, listen, listen, I have a very specialized, as I said, I have a very specialized field. If you asked me to make like a beef Wellington right now, I'd be like, dude, I'm gonna order that. I always make the joke, I cannot sew to save my life. Like if a button falls off my winter coat, I will literally just buy a new winter coat. I will not sew a button. Like I'm not trying to do that. I don't spend time on things that don't add value to me. But I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone either. I just have to prove it to myself. So that's what it really boils down to. Don't get rid of your ego. The first thing, if you're going to be in business, unless you are the Elon Musk, and that's a little bit of a narcissism, and that's a different story. Unless you're there, get rid of your ego and be open to feedback. Be open to feedback. Be open to learning information. Be hungry to learn information.
Well, and I think there's also people need to understand, and maybe it's women need to understand that there's a difference between your ego, and just being pride filled and being confident, and
Right.
understanding your abilities. I was thinking when you said that, I went to a job interview, and she ended up calling me back and she was like, we'd love to not hire you for this position, but for a management position because you scored yourself the highest on all of the, questions that she asked. And I was like, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, everything that you asked me, I was confident that I absolutely had a 10 in each of those areas. If you asked me something that wasn't skilled at, if you asked me about graphic design, I would have scored myself lower because that's not my skill set. But I think people have a hard time being confident because there was no ego involved in that. When she was asking, it was like, yeah, no, I got that. Relationships with people, absolutely. I feel like people like me. I like people. It works out beautifully. And so I could score myself higher, but it wasn't a matter of ego. And so there's a difference. There's a difference in the way that you approach things. And it's okay to be confident, but ego is going to kill your business. If you cannot accept anyone else, if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, if there's no room to grow, you're not asking questions.
You are in the wrong.
Absolutely.
If you think you are and I'm telling this to anyone, listen, if you are the smartest person in your group, you need to find another group. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I actually want to be the dumbest person in the room. So if I'm the dumbest person in the room, I know I'm in the right room. Because I'm going to sit there and I'm going to absorb everything that you're going to tell me. So I'm going to sit there and be like, let me write that down. Let me record that. Thank you so much. Yeah. And then you can pass that knowledge on to someone else.
I can't wait to share this with this person. Yeah.
And when I get goosebumps, I know something's right. I'm like, oh snap, I got goosebumps. Ooh, I know I'm on the right track. I know I'm on the right track.
I love it. Where did she come from?
Honestly, I could be a lot for a lot of people. So I appreciate you, Carlton, because some people are like, give her the adult form of Ritalin and get out of here. So.
I love it. I know that we are going to go to a commercial break here in just a little bit. We're going to take another quick break, but Natalie was telling, I guess there was an event that you've got coming up. We do want to talk about that. Maybe we can do that right before the break.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Natalie, you tell me.
Sure. Yeah, I had given Carlton, I don't know if he saw the flyers for them, but I know you have one today, right?
So today we have Bet on You. Yeah, today's event is Bet on You in 2022. And I said this is because, a lot of people are just like, I don't know. I have a business idea, but my family's been telling me no, or my friends have been telling me no, or how do I do this, blah, blah, And so what it is that we go through the steps of how do you create that successful business. And that's today, Monday through Thursday. It's called Bet on You in 2022. And what I tell people is bet on you in 22 so you can be free in 23 and soar in 24. That's what I tell people. Listen, I'm all about let's get this affirmation. Let's talk. Listen, because listen, I literally have a theme song in my head. I roll with things and I keep, because like language, words have power. So you have to keep feeding yourself the things that you need to know. Because if you tell yourself you're not good enough, that's what and this is why I just literally said this to a young lady. Whether you believe that you can or that you believe that you can't, the answer is yes. Whether you believe that you can or you believe that you can't, the answer is yes. So you better come at me. Okay. You better listen. If you think, you know what, who's going to stop me? Who is going to stop me? And if you say no, then you're not the person for me. I go to someone who's going to tell me yes. Go build your dreams, because you know what's going to happen. I guarantee you, if you have the ability to be on your deathbed and know, you know what I mean, and know that you're on your deathbed, you're never going to be like, you know what? I should have listened to more nonsense in my life. You know what? I should have let people tell me no more and listen. No, you're going to be like, I wish I had done this. When I die, and God, we're not rushing this process, but when I die, I'm going to be like, man, I did it. You know what I mean? I did it. And of course, you always want to do more. But you're going to be like, I did it my way. Just like Frank Sinatra said, I did it my way. You only have one life. So live it. I mean, I believe in reincarnation. That's another story. But I'm telling you, right now, we only have one life. So let's do the best that we can. Let's make sure that we're setting an example for future generations. And then, you know what? Because I'm telling you, when you start walking around and doing your thing like this, people, then they're like, you know what? I can do that too. I can do that too. If she can do it, I'm telling you, if she can do it, I can do it. But there's work to be involved. You know, there's work to be done, but I'm telling you, you're only limited by your imagination and your ability to execute. And I tell people that all the time, and they don't understand what that means. You are only limited by your imagination and your ability to execute. Let's go to commercial break.
When I see, ESC, I see community, I see connectivity, I see from the business owner and from those who are involved that, you don't have to do it alone.
It's a safe place where I know that we have the same goal and vision, and where our intent is to help people. That's what we're going for first and foremost. And whatever happens is the results of that. But our goal is to help people first.
I think the core values is each component of that's coming to the table here. Each brand is a core value of ESC.
It's a joining together of everybody.
Do what our job is, support each other and be business partners to each other. To me, that's priceless. When Mike said, I've been waiting for this for the 12 years, I'm with you, Mike. I feel like this is the moment that all this is built up is to this moment. And so it's just super exciting. So.
People are looking for solutions. They're wanting to go into one place to support them in all kinds of different areas. And I see this as being revolutionary.
It's just going to benefit so many people in such a profound way.
There's a huge benefit across the board in ways that we don't see, but we all benefit when we all succeed.
I see a new beginning. I see fertile ground for entrepreneurs.
This is a group of people that is coming together to make that happen and then to multiply that. So yeah, we need you. We need everybody to be part of this.
A wise man once asked, what if starting a business was like jumping out of a plane? And like 76% of businesses, what if 76% of parachutes failed before you reached the destination? What about those of you who have already jumped? Well, you may still have time to check your business. Pillar5.com, where businesses get it right.
Oh, you're on mute, Natalie.
Oh, I dropped the link so that if you want to hear more about Dr. Andrea's event that starts today, you can go and check that out. I put the registration link on there. And then also for ESC, join our Facebook group. That group is such a blast if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to grow, if you want to be surrounded by coaches, if you're a coach and want to help coach other people, if you just want to learn free stuff or get free bonus stuff from businesses or whatever, join the group. I was so funny. I was telling Shanna this morning, I was like, I'm exhausted. It's like we've been partying for 3 weeks over there. So I feel like it is hopping and going with awesome entrepreneurs. So go in there and join your group. The Accelerator program will be starting soon. I know that we have the 21-day challenge starting in June. So go join our group over on Facebook. All right. Now you're muted, Shanna.
Now, yeah.
Now I'm muted. I'm glad you put that commercial up because Masha Pavlova is she's the brains behind ESC, and I love that she brought this group of us together. But she reminds me a lot. There's something that you said, Dr. Andrea, that she said it was that mindset piece where you're limited by your imagination, your creativity. You're limited by what you're saying. This is as far as I can go, or this is. She was saying the same things to me. She's like, "Oh yeah, I love this. I don't see why Netflix, this person, things that I hadn't even really thought of, for me, it was just kind of, hey, I want to do this. And she's like, why stop there? And
Yeah.
that's what I'm hearing from you. It's why stop there? You can be so much more, do so much more than what you even imagine. You're just limiting yourself by your thoughts. And some of that could be due to the imposter syndrome. Some of that could be due to, just the conditioning that you've talked about. And that goes both genders. While we're focusing on women, in this conversation, that men are told the same thing.
Yeah.
Some boys are growing up being told, you can't do this, you can't do that, you've got to be this, you've got to be that. And it creates this, false sense of, I don't know, this understanding that you have to fit into this
Is
box.
we're setting expectations for them, and there has to be a balance of expectations, and that's what it is. It has to be about, my son, I tell him, I know I do focus a lot on women because I think that women have gotten a bum rap a little bit over the years, but I do work with men, and I teach my son, and I want to teach my son how to support women, and I want to teach him the power of words and the power of this. You know what I tell my son? I tell him, I said, and I ask him, what do you want to, I see him doing things and I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And he tells me, and I said, whatever it is, I want you to be the best at it. If you want to be an artist, I want you to own the gallery. And it's not that, and cause I want him to understand, I don't want him to be limited, just like I just want to paint. If you want to paint, I want you to own the gallery. I want you to own several galleries. I want you to have, I want you to change your language. I want you to say multiple revenue streams. I want you to talk diversification. Yeah, but let's have that language. Like, you can still do that, but you just don't have to do one thing, and I can go on and on and on, and I'm telling you, it's a wonderful thing to know that you have no limits. It's a wonderful thing to see, because think about it, when you're born, you're a blank canvas, right? And you have society, pictures, things like that, influencing your perception, your thoughts, But then what you realize is like, well, how come this person is, and I would always see like people advance, and I would say, well, how come they can do it and I'm still sitting over here? How come I can't do it? These are all questions you need to ask. And if you feel limited, if you feel like you're boxed in, then change it. There's something, and I know it sounds so simple, but there's something called free will. Legit. Like, it sounds almost like crazy, but if you don't want to do something, you have the ability to say no, and this is what I want to do. You have the ability to live your life the way you want, but just don't be scared to do. You've been taught to be scared. At the same time, you've been taught to fear. Oh, well, you don't know, because what happens? You've been taught to doubt. These things are always in the back of your head. This is why you have coaches. This is why you have accountability partners. This is why you have mentors. This is why you have these people who will help you to get past these things, because it is 100% necessary. You cannot do it by yourself because you are battling years and years of programming. But if you want to see something new and you want to be something new, then you have to hang around with people who are trying to be like that. You have to be with people who you have to be with people who are going to help get you out of your comfort zone and to get you from point A to point B. I always tell people, I don't care about social media followers and things like that. What I want you to do is to be authentic to you, because you know what, we've now moved, society has now moved to where they want authenticity from people. They want to have genuine connection, not just about popularity. They want to know, how are you going to connect with me? How are you going to change the world? What is your corporate social responsibility? Do you know I'm having a conference in July? And I thought, because you always give a conference gift or something like that, to people when they attend your conference. And I really thought about that an appropriate, and I said, I don't want to give people another tumbler. I don't want to give people hand sanitizer. I just don't want to give people something that they're going to stick in the corner, and do. And I said, I want to do something that's going to be meaningful. And then I said, I'm going to donate in their name to St. Jude's. As opposed to you getting a notebook or a pen or something, I'm going to make a donation in your name to St. Jude's as part of our corporate social responsibility. I'm sure everyone has enough pens and notebooks and things and tumblers. Do you know how many mugs and stuff that I have in on a shelf in my kitchen, which is literally just sitting there? What are we doing with that? How about we do something that we maybe something intangible, but that's going to change the life for somebody else? Set the tone, set the expectation of how, be the person that you want other people to be. Change your
Yeah.
behavior, change your attitude, change your demeanor, change what you do, and let's see what people do after they see you.
Wow. There's so many things and so many directions I could go, and I know we've only got 8 minutes left. So I want to talk real quickly about community, because you said you can't do it alone. You've got to have people surrounding you, and that's one of the things that Pillar 5 also asks. Have you started building your community around you? So how do I do that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? I'd love for you to address the audience and let them know, how do you start building a community? Where is it? How much time is that going to take, and is it worth it? So let's talk about that.
We're going to talk community. The first thing I want to say is do the work. You can't be lazy about it. You have to do the work. You can't sit there. See, you know what happens? You can't sit there and watch Netflix all day and expect to build your community. I'm not saying don't take downtime, because you have to take downtime. That's part of your well-being and your health. You have to take a step back every once in a while. But at the same time, you have to find, when I say like-minded people, I don't mean people that agree with you, because you don't want someone that necessarily agrees with you. You want to grow, you want to learn, you want to do stuff. But what are your intentions? What are you trying? The people who are trying to build and grow, they surround themselves with other people who are trying to build and grow. See what happens? You have two groups. You have dreamers and you have doers. Dreamers are people who are just talk about it. Yeah, that sounds great. And they want to live lifestyles of the rich and famous with Robin Leach and all those kind of people, but they're not trying to put the work in. Then you have the doers who are like, you know what? Let me pick up this book. How is it? What are you reading? What are you reading? And then you start hanging out with those people, because then you start having conversations with these people, meaningful conversations, and you start saying, oh, well, you made me think differently. And then all of a sudden you start growing your community. You start getting people that you're just like, if people in your community are not making you stretch and grow, you need another community. If they're not making you do things out of your comfort zone, then you're in the wrong community. If someone's trying to keep you safe, and this is why I tell people, don't tell your family your dreams. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but don't tell your family your dreams. Why? Because they know the old you. Oh, Natalie, I don't want you to hurt yourself. Why don't you just come over here? I'll bake you some cookies, and I'm just going to give you some loving and give you some hugs and stuff. And then you're like, okay, and they keep you comfortable. That's not the right community for you. If people are going to keep you comfortable, that's not your group. And by the way, you're not going to find these people right away. It might take a while. But once you start finding people, then it's like honestly, think about the energies that you're putting out there. You're going to attract what you put out there. So if you're looking for growth, if you're looking for expansion, if you're looking for development, if you're looking for, that means you're going to find people like that. That means you're going to be like, hey, I like what you're saying. I want to talk to you. And here's the thing. I had someone who I asked to to be a speaker at my conference, Emmy award winning, blah, 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 all sorts of stuff. And I said, I know you don't know me. I mean, I know you know me, but I'm just going to put it out there. Would you be interested in being a speaker at my conference? And she has an interesting first name. And then my iPad did autocorrect. So it gave her a different first name. And then after I hit send, you can't go back after you hit send. And I was like, I am so sorry. It was autocorrect, blah, blah. And I didn't hear from her. I was like, oh, I screwed the pooch on that one. Don't you know? 2 months later, we had a conversation, and she's like, she goes, I love what you do. I don't know why I heard you talk today, and it resonated with me, and I want to put you in front of my people. Thank you, God, because, I just left it alone. I put it out there like I'm interested. But that's what I'm saying. No does not mean no. It just may be not right now or next opportunity. You have no idea. And if you don't go out there and ask, You don't know what you're going to come back with. And then I'm saying to myself, what? Miss, I work with celebrities and you want to put me, she's like, that's what I'm saying. You have no idea what opportunities are out there if you just don't sit there and ask. But you have to tell people what you're about. And by the way, everyone, I want to let you know that you have to have your elevator pitch down, because if you can't explain to people in 30 seconds or less who you are, what you're about, what you represent, what you stand for, they're checked out. You know why? Because we live in a world of scrolling. And so people are scrolling already in their head, even as they're listening to you. Yeah. People are scrolling in your head, even as they're listening to you. So make sure that you have your stuff, that you're talking to people, that you take that leap of faith. Indiana Jones and I don't remember I think it was the Last Crusade with Sean Connery, and he went through the obstacles, and the last one before he got to the chalice was the leap of faith. And he sees this vast cavern and you can't see the bridge. And he's like, oh my gosh, you just got to, and he grabbed his chest and he put his foot out there and he took that step and he realized it was a bridge to catch him. Ladies and gentlemen, take that step. Someone's going to catch you. They're going to put out their hand and catch you. Don't worry. I got you. These ladies got you. Their programs got you. We got you to make you successful. That's what I know.
That's right. Awesome. Great stuff. Dr. Andrea, thank you so much for being here with us today. You have brought so much passion, really. I guess it's a great way to start our Monday morning, and a lot of wisdom and great information. Have an awesome event today. You guys go check it out. We put the link in the chat. You can find her on all social media platforms. She has American Management and Leadership Design, also has business pages. You can follow those as well. So, and then Dr. Andrea, if they want to get a hold of you, what's your preferred method of communication?
So I would stay with us. I love you guys. My preferred method of communication, truthfully, would be, I don't actually have a preferred method, because I'm used to all. Like if you get me on Instagram, I'll respond on Instagram. If you go through our website and you go through our system, my VP or somebody's gonna get the message. So we just say, just contact us, and don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid of greatness, because people fear success. You think they don't do stuff because they're lazy. No, they fear success. Awesome. Like the reality of success.
Very true. So awesome. Thank you for joining us. And Dr. Andrea will respond to you in whichever way that you reach out to her. She's a doer.
I always have my phone. Unless it's in kids mode, because there's a meltdown with the kids and you're like, take the phone.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Shanna, what was your biggest takeaway from today?
Wow. What is it that she said? Do the work. Do the work. That's what it comes down to. I love a lot of what she says, and you called out the passion. But really, it's just getting started and doing the work. You cannot be successful without doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that would probably be the same for me too, is just getting started. And of course, her passion. I mean, you just can't deny that she's doing what she loves. Clearly, if you're working with her, you're going to be affected by that passion, right? She's going places and you're going to go with her. Right? Just hang on and she's going to take you with her too. So great show. Loved having her here. Thank you to iDo Systems for sponsoring today's show. Make sure you go to pillar5.com, take your free business assessment, and join us next week. And we will see you then. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon.